let's try to get to these last 3 more calls here, and then we'll probably wrap it up for the night here. So if you're on the line, just go ahead and stay on, and we will get to you. Next, I want to get to Tim, who is calling in from Phoenix, Arizona. Tim, what's going on?
Hi, Katy and Dan. I wanted to jump in on a conversation you were having earlier about what's happening in the U.S. as laws pertain to LGBTQ, and also how it brings in single women and Jewish people.
Ooh, do tell.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. So Mike Pence is a big reason that Trump got voted in, and his people are evangelical Christians, and they're often called Christian nationalists because they really believe that we should only take care of our own country. And they also believe that the country was founded on the Christian religion. Now, of course, that's been denied all over the place. But unfortunately, with Trump and Pence coming into power, they have dragged these people along with them very willingly. And these people have been working on laws against LGBTQs for quite a while. It's just gotten a lot worse under Trump and Pence and continues to be so. Can I give you an example or two?
I think we could probably both think of some examples, but if you want to give some for the audience, then yeah, go ahead and give one.
Okay. Right now, going in front of our SCOTUS, we have a suit that would allow companies to fire someone based on their sexuality if their sexuality went against the owner of the business's religious beliefs.
Yeah, this one's terrifying. It's
Yeah.
really scary. And it's not just that. There's like a mess of things. So they want to be able to fire people for having a different sexuality, and also just for being trans, and also for wearing the wrong clothes, which is they've wrapped up into the trans thing. So like it could potentially be pushed as far as women wearing trousers.
Yeah. In fact, the lawsuit that's in front of the SCOTUS right now is because a person changed their gender while they worked for a company, and the company fired them for that, even though they had a great record.
And it's even sadder than that, because she was fired and then had to have legal costs and didn't have an income, and also has diabetes, and you don't have state healthcare there. So she's died this week of diabetes. Because she didn't have enough money to pay for the treatment. It's horrific. Full stop. Horrific. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Karen.
So one other point that I think is really massive that people are missing is, and I'm not talking about the Catholic Church per se, I'm talking about the Catholic social missions. So we're talking adoption, we're talking homeless shelters, we are talking a large percentage of hospitals run by Catholics in the United States. And their ability to use taxpayer money, so, they get some of my taxes to run these social programs, but they also get to discriminate against me, even in a hospital as a gay man. They can discriminate against a woman for having an abortion or asking for any type of abortion pill or birth control. And it goes on from there. Basically, within their services, if they don't like you, they don't have to give you that service that they are offering, even though our taxpayer money goes for it.
Yes.
So,
so
in Dallas right now, they're working on it where a doctor could refuse anyone because they were gay if it went against their religion. So we are really up against the fight of our lives. I might sound dramatic over this.
No, it is. I agree.
No, and you're right, Tim. And, I said, earlier I was saying, public opinion about LGBT people has shifted over the years. And that's a positive thing. And that's true. We can look at that and see that that's true. But that doesn't mean that the fight is over, right? That doesn't mean that we're all done and we can just pack our bags and go home. Like, these issues are still real. And progress, I think we make the mistake that progress is a guarantee. It's not. It's not a linear function. Progress only happens when we decide to make it happen, and as soon as we decide to stop fighting for that, then we lose that. So yeah, I agree with you, Tim. It's something that we have to really keep in mind, and it's something that we have to remind people, like, hey, this is still important to talk about. Let's not forget about this, because there's active legal issues going on right now, as you've pointed out, that are happening.
I think with any kind of progress, there's always backlash. I think that, like, particularly in the UK, we're seeing that with trans rights, and I guess it's what you're seeing there with LGBT rights in general, and also women's rights, is that we as people, humans, have made progress.
And check this out, and Tim, I'll let you talk. I'll let you say this too, but like, check this out too, because we have legal protections for gender and for race across all states, and in some places we even have it for sexual orientation, and in some other places, and things like that, and identity. But even with those legal protections, that doesn't mean people aren't firing people for their race, or aren't firing people for their gender. Because how hard is it to defend that legally? Well, how do you prove that? Like what conversations that you may have had? Oh, do you record everything everywhere you go? Do you have written statements from people? Like, it's so hard for the average person to even demonstrate that to be true. So, I've
got so many friends who were like the top of their company, and then they came out, and all of a sudden they were the bottom of their company. They didn't change their behavior at all. They just suddenly got bad progress reviews, and then they lose their job. Yeah. And they lost their job for being bad, but they weren't bad. Right. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Well, you look at the changes over the decades of how people can be fired, to literally now, when you get hired, you have to sign a paper that says, basically, we can fire you for any reason. So it is much harder. There are some cases, in this one case that is going to the Supreme Court, is based on that. And the reason it's been so hard is because it's really difficult to prove. This one was a little more obvious with the change in sex, that obviously it was a physical change and easier to see and easier to pinpoint when the changes of the way the employee was treated happened. But it's scary. And it's even one other thing that I'll point out, where, I mentioned 3 different groups being discriminated against, and that's the Catholic adoption agency services, where trans people or any LGBTQ, single women and Jewish people have all been turned down from adopting children because they didn't match the Catholic ideal.
Which is like, the one thing that we need more of in this country is people to adopt, in my opinion. And the fact that you deny the select few people that are even able to do that.
If you ask anyone who knows about adoption, then no one is going to say it's better for them to be in some home than it is to be with a loving family. Like, it's always going to be better to be with a loving family, even if they are Jewish. Like,
now, that's not to say that there aren't disqualifying factors for people who can adopt. I've encountered that, but that's the reasons that they present are absolute bull. And let me make this point as well, because we're talking about the Catholic Church in particular. I understand, because you made this point, that the Catholic Church has provided social services and all kinds of support for groups. Who else has also provided support for local communities? Al-Qaeda, the Yakuza, all kinds of organized groups that have done things for the community. And that's why they do get that local support. Now, again, I'm making an extreme, a comparison, but is it that extreme if we're talking about legally allowing people to discriminate, from their choices just based on political influence in our country? I don't think so. I think if you have an institution as large as the Catholic Church with the money that they do, then sometimes the stuff that they do kind of feels like mob rule, and that's not fair for atheist folks like you or me, or any kind of folks who don't follow those same prescriptions of belief, who have to kind of work under those rules that we don't think are right.
No, thank you for actually bringing that up. I wasn't going that far because I figured people would think I was nuts. Literally, with
I'll do that for you, Tim. I'll do it for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And that's why, as a gay man, I'm afraid. And I've never been afraid before. And I know I'm not alone. And, you know, anybody, people of color, it's just come down to if you're white and Christian and heterosexual, you're beginning to be favored.
Yeah. I feel it. I empathize. I've never felt more like afraid of losing rights in my life.
Yeah, you know what happened with me? One of the first privileges I've lost was the transition from Christianity to kind of being the atheist that I am now. I lost a privilege, and that privilege was the ability to talk about my beliefs without people looking at me funny. You know, nobody looks at you funny if you say you believe in Jesus around here. That's just the thing.
That's
but you
so
say you
different here.
You say you don't
different.
believe around here, and sometimes people give you the stink eye. I mean, it's really different. You know, like I lost that, and just being in support of LGBT people can sometimes be a disqualifying thing for friendship. Like if I hear people talk about trans people in ways that I find to be deplorable, I try to point that out as best as I can. Say like, hey, this isn't a good thing for you to say, and that costs friendships sometimes, so that can cost social relationships, but I have to do that because I feel compelled to. So yeah, I know I can at least relate in that small regard, Tim, that I understand what it, you know, that it's people who are privileged who don't go through those experiences just cannot relate anymore. And I cannot relate to being a gay person or anybody in the LGBT community because I don't have those experiences, but I at least lost a little bit of my own privilege, and I wish other people lost a little bit of their own privilege to kind of get that experience too, so they can understand.
I think that's it'd be great if everyone understood it, but at the same time, rather than wishing a loss of privilege on other people, it'd be wish that everyone else didn't lose privilege. Perhaps.
I honestly think some people are so hard-headed that you can be completely reasonable with them, and they're not going to understand until they just
for sure they need to experience.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't mean to wish harm on people. I don't.
No, I understand.
It's just some people are just so hard-headed. It's like a Christmas story, not a Christmas story. What's the one with
the Muppets Christmas Carol?
The Christmas Carol. Yes, it's like, look, Ebenezer, he just had to go see those ghosts, man, or else he wasn't gonna, do the thing he did in that.
Buy a turkey on Christmas Day.
Help out little Tim, I think is his name.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I think. But anyway, Tim, not you, Tim, the different Tim. I think there was a Tim in that story. But anyway,
Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim. That's what it is. Tiny Tim. Thank you. But Tim, thanks for calling in and sharing some of your experiences. I'm glad I'm glad Truth Wanted can be an outlet for you to give out some of your concerns and let other people know what's on your mind and what you think other people should think about. Because I agree, this stuff's important, man. And I, I'll keep talking about it until we make the changes we want to see happen, right?
That's why I appreciate your show.
Well, thanks, Tim. I appreciate you calling in, and I hope to hear from you again some other time. Yeah, it is what it is. We just got to keep fighting the good fight until we make stuff happen. And it may never stop. Like it may be something that we have to do for the rest of our lives. I don't know.
So I think about something like being left-handed. Like there are places now on Earth where being left-handed is still a thing. Like people care about, and in history, like in the whole of Europe, being left-handed was a serious issue. And now, at least in the UK, at least where I live, no one cares at all.
Sure.
It's as interesting as your hair color, or maybe even less interesting than your hair color, is whether you're right or left-handed. And some things can disappear from public.
We will hopefully see the same for LGBT people.
I mean, it's effectively the same in that you're born it. And
I know it is like on a philosophical level. I mean socially, right? Like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, hopefully we can get there because we've had another example of people being wrong and now they're just normal. And why can't we do it again?
Why can't we do it again?
It's a long fight, and like there are still places where being left-handed is an issue. And how many thousands of years have we had left-handed people?